What is happening, fellow fantasy GMs? I am Axel Rose. He is the Incredible Hulk. And with
Nice.
our powers combined, we are the Fantasy Couriers.
What is up, JJ Wang? This is our special Halloween episode. For those of you that are listening to the pod, skip on over to take a moment and skip on over to the YouTube channel to see a picture of us. There also should be a picture of us in the linear notes of the podcast if I did this correctly. But check us out. It's our Halloween night. We got some tricks or treats for you tonight as we go through here. How you doing, JJ?
Doing good. Had some technical issues with my computer. I think my rabbit has done chewed through my power cable on my computer. So I am currently using my phone. Hopefully it all works out well. And how was your day?
It was good. It was quite eventful. I said I would share today was dress up day at school. So I got to be the Incredible Hulk, and that's why I still have my green face paint on. And I thought I would share a quick full picture because I look kind of creepy otherwise if you don't see it. So if you're online, there is a full DJ Dove Incredible Hulk from school. So I hope you enjoyed that quick one as I take down my Hulk mask to get a little bit better voice as we move forward with the show. But we'd love to hear from you. Hit us up, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all the same old place. I say it every time. They're all in the notes. Send us an email at fantasycouriers@gmail.com or hit up the website, fantasycouriers.wixsite.com/website. Leave us comments there or in the YouTube page. We're still looking for those 50 subscribers. Can you get us there? Hook us up. And if you want to get on DraftKings, hit me up. I'll send out a link that you can join. We still stink at it amazingly horribly.
I finished last week. So,
I was next to last once again. We're pathetic. Like, I'm glad we don't do a DFS show. It'd be embarrassing how bad we are.
I
But
mean,
and speaking of bad, I called it. I said, finally, we're going to get one of those stinker Thursday night games. This was the game that we were looking forward to. We were talking about Green Bay versus Arizona, the last of the undefeated. Looks like my Dolphins guys are clicking their champagne today because there's no undefeated teams left. But it was an abysmal game to watch. All the touchdowns. Rogers Servat had wide receiver apocalypse. He was down. He was down his top three receivers. Luckily, Randall Cobb got 2 touchdowns, but I think he had like 15 yards.
yeah, not much.
Running back scored all the touchdowns. James Conner had 2, and I think he might have had 15 yards, something to that effect too. Edmonds had a touchdown. Jones did his thing though, 108 all-purpose yards and a touchdown. And Kyler was bottled up. What a stinker of a night! What are your takeaways from this night?
It was two really good teams. They're solid, so not going to be a blowout here or there. But as far as like fantasy goes, it was a bummer. Really disappointed in Kyler. Didn't get any touchdowns. Honestly, really disappointed in DeAndre Hopkins. Right, at
Well,
just the 66 yards at the 2 targets. That's disappointing. There, he's got that hamstring. Are you worried about that hamstring at all?
I'm always worried about a hamstring, but I tell you what, if it's going to depend upon who wins the battle, him or Kingsbury, because he got that 55-yard reception, then that stupid face mask, or it would have been a touchdown. And then you didn't see him for a while. Then you hear about a hamstring and you see him on the sideline going, and then all of a sudden he's in the game. Apparently he put himself back in the game. That was not a coach's decision.
Yeah.
And then I'm surprised they didn't just take the helm. He didn't come back in the games. I'm sure he got chewed out or something. Like, dude, it's not worth it. There's a whole season. Nobody goes undefeated is probably what they told him. We know you want to win. We know you're a competitor. We know you're one of the best receivers of the past decade, but we need you for the playoffs when it matters.
Yeah, it was kind of like when Hopkins went out, kind of like focused the attention on the other receivers, and the other receivers just couldn't get open. They didn't have Hopkins taking away that coverage, and it was just all focused on him. None of them, like I said, none of them had a good game. It was really bad. Nobody, like I said, nobody on the Cardinals had a good game. We're starting. Was the backup for Green Bay, the backup running back, AJ Dillon. I think he had like 78 yards rushing. Didn't get in the end zone. Maybe that's something to look at.
Yeah, he looks pretty. He looks like a pounder. I mean, he's the pounder, and That's more yards. I think Jones had 59, if I am correct, off the top
Yeah,
of my head. And it's like I said, 59, and then the 57 of receiving. But Jones looked like a better runner. I'm sorry, Jones looked like a better receiving back, obviously, and Jones just looked like a strong runner, very strong watching him
yeah.
go through the line. So it leaves a quandary like, will they do something with Dylan to give him, will they make him a trade piece, or will they go, hey, we got two great backs? I mean, that's what you need in the NFL today to be successful. And it's really what helped them survive this mess of COVID that went through the team. So it was quite an intriguing week. But it was a stinker. I was really looking forward to this
Yeah,
game. Score looks good
yeah.
on paper.
Yeah, it was just like I said, just the fantasy points just weren't there for anybody.
Yeah.
If anything, you're disappointed with Arizona more than you are with Green Bay, considering all the players they were missing. So Arizona's who let us down the most.
Luckily, I was playing against Kyler in a lot of leagues and against D Hop in
Yeah,
a couple leagues. I started both of them in the leagues, and luckily the team that
yeah.
stunk the most for me, so I started Kyler. So I'm okay with that, losing to the other stinky team. So it was a good way. But let's move on to this week. After that, let's get some fantasy points on our teams. Just remember, if you have Ravens or Raiders, it's the double R week off, which is a big stinker for my team of tight end premium. No Waller, no Andrews, no Carr. I mean, he's been decent this year. Ruggs, if you're having to play him. Jacobs is hurt. No Lamar Jackson, no Hollywood Brown, and no coming on Rashad Bateman. It was what you're missing this week, and probably some defenses. So pay attention to those, fill them in with spots as we are moving on to the week. Speaking of former Ravens running backs who went to the Houston Texans, Mark Ingram is back with the Saints, and they also Friday gave him a 1-year extension. Do you think he's worth rostering or playing in that backfield? Will he take enough, or what?
I don't see him taking too much. I mean, especially the amount they're giving the ball to Kamara right now. Seems like they just want to feed him. I mean, there's a time when he probably get like a goal line carry here, goal line carry there. Might get a few carries, but as far as like fancy relevance, I don't think so. I don't think you can roster him. I was thinking this was more of a, hey, I might be getting ready to retire type thing. Let me go back to the team that I played for my entire career, and let me just retire there. Maybe get in another extra year to just help the team a little bit. But I don't think you can roster him.
Uh, he's a monitor for me. I keep an eye on him because I think they're looking at Kamara and going, "This dude's going to die if we keep feeding him like that." No one else is really performing per se on a regular basis like he is. So if we can get Ingram I mean, Ingram, he's going to be that guy you might need. I mean, he survived by apocalypse last week, so
I guess he'll be like James Conner, right?
yeah, yeah. He'll get all those yards and a touchdown. Yeah, interesting fact going back, James Conner is the second leading rushing touchdown scorer amongst running backs, which is crazy. But yeah, just keep a monitor on him. If you have a bench spot at deep league, you might as well throw him on there because he's good. I think they're going to give him the ball some. I think they're seeing where their bread is butter, which is running, and he did good when he was there, and they saw he has a little bit of juice. He's not going to be the old Mark Ingram, so don't expect the old thunder and lightning, but
Yeah.
it's a super monitor. I'm not totally ignoring it. I'm not rushing out to get him either, but more people going down this week that we got to think about as we go into the weekend. Julio has been ruled out. Is AJ going to go nuts again?
I mean, I don't think it really matters if Julio's in or out at this point. Obviously the guy's AJ Brown. Like they really can't even count on Julio at this point. So I think Tennessee, the way they're playing right now, I think he's in for another good game. He's finally, getting back to being 100% healthy. I don't know if anybody's 100% healthy, but healthy enough to play football. And with everybody focusing on the run game, Tannehill finally playing a little better. It's going to open some things up. So yeah, hopefully we can get that top 10 wide receiver that we wanted.
Yeah, we'll see how the Colts defense plays. They got a solid defense, but if you're good, you're good, and that's what he. Hopefully, he's good. My fantasy teams are sure hoping that because I somehow ended up with AJ Brown shares out of nowhere to somewhere. But speaking of guys I loved and I totally dropped the ball on, and I actually traded away my only Calvin Ridley share this week for a little fanboy love, but I got Jalen Waddle in a trade and some other draft picks and whatnot. And on the draft calculator, Ridley and Waddle if Ridley was valued at 29, Waddle was valued at 22. I thought that was quite interesting, the closeness of them on Dynasty Trade Calculator, looking through them. But speaking of Ridley, he has the fourth most targets in the league, but he's a 27th ranked wide receiver. What would you do with Ridley at this point? Should you move on from him like I chose to, based on name? Like you can probably get a good share of him on name, or would you say he's a hold as Atlanta is starting to play better?
I was really considering this week. I was considering moving him in your fancy news league. I was trying to put a package together to go out and get somebody. It was Ridley and another player. I was trying to go see what I could find, a better running back that I have, or another top wide receiver. But got to thinking, he is getting the targets. They're just not there right now. And I don't want to get rid of Calvin Ridley. And then the last 8 games of the season, he goes completely ham. And then I'm like, oh man, if I would have just waited one extra week. So I think he's a hold right now. Like I said, he's number 4 in targets, so the opportunity's there. They're passing a lot. I don't think maybe Kyle Pitts coming breaking through a little bit might help him out a little bit. But I think he's a hold at the moment. You just gotta wait for it to play out.
I was looking at your team trying to see about a trade for him. Just since I lost one, why not try to pick up another one? So keep me in your thoughts. Speaking of receivers, some are jumping. We're losing one and we're getting one back. So first, we're AB has that weird thing going on where they say he might not play. We talked about him on Tuesday, but it seems like it's gotten worse. We know he's out this week. The bye's out. At this point, usually redraft rosters are a little smaller, and you can't throw a guy that's out on your IR in most leagues. What do you do with AB? Are you dropping him, or are you? What are you doing?
I mean, if you don't have a spot and you need a player bad enough for this week, you've got to drop him. I think he says he'll be out with 3 weeks. I think they said up to 3 weeks. Yeah, so you just don't know. That's a long time, especially here towards the middle of the season. You're trying to make a push. You gotta find wins. You need to find points, and AB's not providing you any points right now. So yeah, it would be great if you have that spot there to keep him, but I wouldn't be opposed to having to drop him to get somebody that can be productive for you.
Well, I did drop him, and I did through waivers get Jerry Judy. Because that was the day you've heard me talk about it, and I ended up pulling the trigger on it. So I have Jerry Judy. He is back. What would you do with him? Like, obviously, we talked about we would try to get him if he's there, but would you start him this week against the Washington football team, which should be a pretty prime matchup, or would you be hesitant because it's still an ankle sprain? But they did say he could have played last Thursday, but they didn't want to. They said they wanted to give him practice reps before he played.
Yeah, so all we have to go by, that first game of the season when he was killing it. I was like, all right, Jerry Judy's finally stepping up. He's getting his targets, he's getting the catches. Bridgewater seemed to like him. I think maybe he might be a Bridgewater guy. The great route runner. Bridgewater, could find him in those intermediate ranges. So I'd fire him up. I mean, I'd throw him in there and see what you got. If you got better options, you don't want to take that risk. That's fine too. But like I said, if I had Judy, I would probably start him. I don't think he's going to miss much coming off the ankle sprain.
I'm starting him in 2 leagues, and I hope he smashes this week, to quote my character. Just a little freak out moment for a lot of guys right now. All of a sudden, Cooper Rush is starting on Sunday. Oh my gosh. What do you start any Cowboys not named Zeke, or do you even what do you do? I mean, you're obviously got to start Zeke, you got to start Zeke, but how freaked out would you be with Cooper? Is he as bad as DiNucci?
I don't think he's as bad as DiNucci. I don't know if anybody can be that bad. Maybe. What was that Buffalo Bills guy? Was it Peterman? Nathan Peterman? He was pretty bad. But so is Dak out, or is that just he's not out, is he?
They said Cooper Rush is starting Sunday.
Oh, I said it is starting. So I just heard that Dak might be out. So I mean, yeah, if Cooper Rush is starting, I mean, it's a hit to the receivers. I think Zeke probably still gets his. But I mean, if you were looking for the top 12 wide receiver from CeeDee Lamb, you're probably not going to get that. It is the Vikings. Their defense isn't great, so like I said, I don't know Cooper Rush a whole lot. Of course, he's not Dak, so yeah, I mean it's a hit to the whole team if he can't play.
Yeah, I might be incorrect, but I could have swore I had something coming through. So if you hear this and it turns out that Dak plays, I apologize. But I swear I was reading today and I'm double checking right now and nothing's popping up like it was. So
I mean,
as
I
of
know
now,
they.
he took all the first team reps, but I
I
heard
mean,
he
I
was
know that.
starting.
Oh, I know they said he got out of bed this morning and his calf was really sore, so it might have just been that he was just taking the day. Cooper Rush was getting the snaps. So I mean, I'm pretty sure he's questionable, and it might just be the Cowboys playing mind games. Hey, is Dak going to play? Is Dak not going to play? Wait till the last minute. But you better have a backup plan because it is the Sunday night game, so you want to make sure you prepare yourself.
Yeah, so it's that was a question I had that I'm going to, since you mentioned that, I'm going to throw a question from later up right now. Speaking of having to prepare yourself, the Giants, basically everybody's hurt. Galladay, Tony, Barkley, and usually Ingram. But they play on Monday with guys that have been out. Like you didn't have either of those receivers, and Barkley has missed for a couple weeks. They say that from what I'm reading, it looks like Tony and Barkley should play. Galladay is iffy. Who and would you wait for any of those guys,
Oh
or
yeah,
would you only wait with insurance?
I wouldn't play any of those guys because obviously you've already made your plans without Barkley, so you probably already got a backup plan in place. And who knows how much he's going to play. I wouldn't like Tony. I I'm not really sure. Like I said, I wouldn't play any of those guys. Better be safe than sorry, especially at this point in the season. I mean, you need wins right now, and wait until Monday night to just maybe to get these guys to play. That's a risky proposition.
Yeah, you got to have spots there. I think I've got Barkley in a league where I sort of need him, so I'm going to
Yeah, I
pray.
mean, if
And
you
then,
gotta play him, I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do. But
yeah, I think I have him setting in a flex spot with the hopes of I have someone else just in case he doesn't play because the Kansas City defense kind of stinks. So that's the real problem we have there. Just a heads up, and we'll talk more about this in the upcoming weeks. Pay attention to your league rules. League rules are so important to know. If you know that your league runs on waivers, make sure you pick them up. We had someone mad at us this week because the league ran on daily waivers and he missed a player for last night. I snuck it in. I started Randall Cobb last night, which was nice and sweet for my scoring with some injuries I had. But
but
pay
to
attention.
but to be but to be fair, that guy that was complaining literally complains about everything.
Yeah.
So
I was gonna leave
it
it there.
doesn't
I was gonna
matter.
be the bigger man.
I'm not. It doesn't matter what. It doesn't matter. He'll complain about it. It doesn't matter.
There comes your inner Axl Rose.
Yeah.
But it should become usually at most redrafts. It's about week 10 or 11. Dynasty, if it's done right, runs right up until the playoffs generally. So just pay attention to that trade deadline. We'll talk about if you have any trade questions, or we're going to talk about in the upcoming weeks guys that we would be targeting at this point and go into as we are talking. But we have a special treat here. JJ Wang has a Halloween themed activity for us to do as he is rocking the Axl Rose and I'm rocking the Hulk. Let's go trick or treating.
Yeah. So I'm gonna call this segment "Are You Scared?" So I
Ah,
got some teams that I got some teams here. Playing some competition that might play against them or with them, depending on how we go. Like these teams aren't in the best positions. So first team, Seattle Seahawks. Are you scared to play these guys? We got DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and Alex Collins.
I am petrified to play the receivers because they don't let Geno Smith throw the ball. So until I see otherwise, I'm scared to play him, but I got to play him because of where they were drafted. Alex Collins, they're running the snot out of the ball. They're giving him the ball. Volume speaks for running backs. Eventually, he's going to get into the end zone and get points there. So I'm scared of the receivers, the running back. I'm less scared. Don't want to play him, but I'm less scared, I think, because of the Geno Smith play that is going on.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I'm pretty scared. I'm pretty scared to start all these guys. I mean, that offense is just not the same without Russ. So the next one we got the Washington Redskins.
I'm
Are
scared to
you
play any of them because they don't play football anymore.
well the Washington football team? Are you scared to start Taylor Heineke, Antonio Gibson, and Terry McLaurin?
Antonio Gibson, He was my fool's gold of the year. We talked about him on Tuesday. I traded him away this week in a team that I'm building on Dynasty. I traded him away for Cam Akers and some pieces because I was looking to the future, and I'd rather have Cam Akers than Antonio Gibson since he's getting out snaps. So I'm petrified of him. Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin's a stud. There is no fear for me. And Heineke's played good enough. He'd be in between those two somewhere. That Heineke's that you're not starting Heineke's a top 12 anyway. So Heineke, I'm not petrified of because of where he is being used. So I have a league where he starts every week as my tiebreaker player. So scared of to death of Gibson.
I know McLaurin. He had some kind of hamstring injury or some kind of leg injury. I wasn't sure. But yeah, I mean, I'm starting McLaurin everywhere I go. I got a lot of faith in that guy. Next team is the Carolina Panthers playing the Atlanta Falcons. Are you scared to start Darnold, Chuba Hubbard, and DJ Moore?
That's the worst question ever. Asking me the Sam Dart. Like there are truthers for all players. I'm just a played up hater. I'm loving it because I'm being able to say, told you so, told you so. Sam Darnold, though, this week, I bet you Sam Darnold throws for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns. You can probably put that to the bank. I would almost wager that on some sort of a bet just because of getting benched last week, and it's the Falcons and they stink. So against the Falcons, I'm not really scared of any 3 of those guys. Long term, I am scared. I mean, I think Darnold at some point, if you get benched, it does something for the head. You see it so often, especially when you're told you're the guy. They're like, "Oh, we stunk today, so we're gonna bench you here through the game," and we have no confidence. DJ Moore, he's bulletproof. I mean, he's being good with Sam Darnold as his quarterback, and Chuba Hubbard's. I'm probably most scared of Chuba Hubbard just because the new car smell is run off. But if you have him, you're probably playing him because you have to. I'm doing that in a couple of places. He's not been spectacular. But yeah, so I have a bad feeling that I'm gonna have to hear about Sam Darnold this week.
You might. I'm hoping really bad. I really want to talk about him. It's been a while. So this last one is it's a little this special one. This one's really scary. Well, the last game between these two teams was really scary. Pretty sure it was like 35-0. I think that was the final score. So we're gonna go with Dolphins versus the Bills. Are you scared to start Waddle, Tua, and Gesicki?
Oh, Dolphins are gonna put up 52 points to the Bills nothing this week. In all honesty, this is a game, and I don't know why. Common sense would dictate that I am petrified of this game because the last 2 contests, not just the one this year, but the game week 17 of last year when the Dolphins had to beat the Bills just to make the playoffs. The Bills were in there. The Bills rolled them. And then the Bills rolled them this time. So it's one of those things. Are they that much in their head that they're going to roll them again? The Bills are going to win this game. The question really is fantasy wise, would I play Tua, Waddle, and Gesicki? Gesicki right now is playing like a top 5 tight end. I'm playing him regardless. Waddle is getting targets from Tua. Tua loves to throw him the ball. Waddle, I'm not scared to play. Waddle falls into one of those just target hog kind of players is what I'm seeing from Tua. Tua's the one I would be the most scared, more because I think right now he's riding on 7 touchdowns in 2 weeks, but they're against Jacksonville and Atlanta. This is a better defense, better team, better coach, and so forth. And I think there will be turnovers. I think then they're going to all be like, oh, Deshaun Watson talks going to come back. So I'm more scared for Tua, but I have this weird feeling about the game, not the fanboy part of the game, but that it's going to be closer than it should be. And fantasy wise, I think all 3, you're not starting Tua except in a 2 quarterback league. And some people are scared. It falls upon that Sam Darnold kind of feel that I think they're going to overperform what they should do. There's no reason at all.
Yeah, I'm just going to go with the Bills rolling them again just because I like the Bills. You like the Dolphins. I like to see the Bills kick the Dolphins out. But, yeah, I think maybe Gesicki's probably the only one right there at that point. If Tua's going to have a bad game, it doesn't bode well for his 2 receivers, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, not necessarily. What was it? Who was I seeing the other week had a terrible game but the receivers got there. So Tua could throw 2 interceptions and a fumble, but throw for 300 yards. Waddle catches 125 on 10 catches. That's 22 points. So that's it's one of those weird game script
Don't you?
games versus reality.
Don't you mean 70 yards on his 10 catches, not
Hey,
125?
17 points. It's still 17 points in a
Hey, I'm not.
PPR league.
Hey,
Yeah.
I would take that, but I
Yeah.
think it's more the 70-yard than the 125 yard.
I'm just saying, yeah. So it's yeah, like they can still get rolled, and he can still receivers can still score better than quarterbacks without quarterbacks having to be
I think
spectacular.
Devontae Parker might be back this week too.
Yeah, he's saying it depends. It's one of those wishy washy. Everything I'm reading is wishy washy if he's going to play, and I'm not scared of Parker. I think Parker's pure garbage anyway. So him and Sam Darnold should be on the same team. That would be my like favorite team to root against. It would be awesome. I would love it. So as we're getting here towards the end, I just got a question to pose for you. Then we'll send everybody out to the week. We are by our love really is dynasty. We talk a lot of redraft during the season because regardless if you're playing dynasty or redraft, it's pretty much the same for the next 10 weeks. So we're literally halfway through the regular fantasy. So at the thinking dynasty, so we're doing a dynasty minute here. What do you do at this point in the season? What makes you think you're going to go for it? Or what should say, hey, I need to trade and go for the future? How do you make that decision when 6 teams, generally out of a 10 to 12 team league, make it? You might be setting at 8, you might be setting at 4. I mean, that's pretty much the same thing because both of you could drop out within 2 weeks. I am setting at 3 in a league, got a 2-game lead. And if my team goes down the tank with some of the trades I did recently, I'm in trouble, but I could roll. Like, how do you make that choice?
Well, it just depends on how confident you are in your team. Like if you think your team is good, and you're down on your luck, you might just want to just hold fast, and your team might come around. But if you're sitting in that 4, 5, and 6 spot, and you're like, well, my team is not great, but if I make this move, I think I can be right in it. Then you should go for it. I mean, you should try to get whatever, because once you're in the playoffs, I mean, anything can happen. So that's kind of what you're going for. So if you're in the playoffs and you think you got a shot, you're maybe you're one player away, you go get that player, and that one player can help you win a championship. It's going to be well worth it. You worry about next year. And as far as if you're in that A spot, if your team's bad or not. If you don't think your team can compete this year or next year, you might as well try to figure something else out. Maybe start building through the draft, maybe trying to find some younger players, getting rid of all your veterans. So if you're bumbling down at the bottom, make your moves. But like they said, the worst place you want to be is right there in the middle.
Yeah.
So you either want to be winning or you want to be losing. You don't want to be stuck right there at that
2000 Dallas Cowboys, the
yeah,
2000s.
Yeah, you don't want to be 6-6. I mean, that's not going to get you. It's going to get you a bad draft pick, and it's not going to get you in the play. It's not going to help you win the playoffs. So if you want to win, you've got to make a move. And if you want to lose, you got to get rid of those old guys too. So you got to make a move there as well.
Yeah, and I say, look at the stat, both dynasty and redraft. Look at the points against stat. I'm looking. There's one league where we have a guy who's like next to last. His points against are ridiculous, but his points for are high. So he still has half the season. If he keeps the points for going, you might be able to pull up and get into that playoffs. Look at why you're good right now. Are you good because you played Chuba Hubbard and got a couple of neat starts? He's going to be done soon. Are you good because of a guy that's filling in? Or do you have Robert Tunyon as your tight end? Speaking of guys, sorry, we missed that one. He is towards ACL. He's done for the season.
He wasn't that good anyway.
Yeah, but he could. This was about the time last year he came on. So if you're banking it, so yeah, so it's a build up. Yeah, sorry, I threw him. But a guy who is pull a guy out of the hat. But somebody who's playing well that might be more of an anomaly. See where you are. And if it's consistent, so look for the consistency of your players versus some of the like fluky, crazy things that are going on as far as when you move forward. And we'll hit in the next couple weeks, like guys, maybe to trade away as you're looking into those dynasty minutes. I do have a name that I'd never really had heard of. It's a young running back out of Ole Miss who had a pretty good preseason, and the coach said, "Hey, I'm going to keep him on the team." He's a Scotty Phillips of the Houston Texans. Keep an eye out for him. He's a guy about my stature, 5'8", a little bit over 200 pounds, 209 pounds. So he's more of a bowling ball. He's like a little bowling ball going through there. But I think he's going to get some. They're going to see what they have in him in Houston at least, because like, hey, we got these young guys. They're going to have to start seeing. They have to go Lindsey. We know he's not the guy. David Johnson, he's 72 years old. Why are we going to run them through? And we can see what we got with these young guys. So see if you have a dynasty spot on there. I snuck him in a couple places just to see. You never know what's going to come of some guys, and this is that time where you are looking future either way, no matter how your team is built, if you got a spot to go with. Trade deadline's coming up this week. We'll talk about it Tuesday, see what happens. Will Deshaun Watson get traded? What about Evan Ingram as a possibility? My biggest fear is that the Dolphins are going to trade away one of my favorite players, Xavier Howard. We will see what happens. You'll know on Tuesday's show if he got traded, or next week's show, because I'll be wearing my new Xavier Howard jersey, or I'll be returning him.
Yeah, there's just not a whole lot of trades in there. It's been a little different lately.
Yeah.
But football is one of those things where it's just it's hard for a player to just come in and contribute like it is in other sports. So those big deals are hard to come by in the NFL.
Yeah, it is interesting. So I got two names for you, and then I'm gonna let you take us out for a week 8. Your boy, Austin Eckler, showing up on the injury report, did not practice on Friday. Keep an eye on the San Diego backfield. What are you feeling for the weekend? Is it a Kelly weekend? Is Roundtree going to come out of nowhere and play? Like, what's going to happen?
I mean, I don't think Eckler's going to be missing much. Like I said, it's one of those days. Like, hey, coach, I probably just let me stay on the sideline. My hips kind of bother me a little bit. I mean, I expect Eckler to play fully, but if he doesn't, I'm not really confident in any of those guys. None of them have really proven anything. And the biggest one, the one that's proven the most, is Justin Jackson. He said, he's had a game here, a game there. Kelly had his opportunity last year. He didn't do well. Roundtree really hasn't really even been seen much this year. So if Eckler doesn't play, I wouldn't put anything down on any of them unless I had to. Like I said, Justin Jackson, he might be the guy, but that's a tough backfield if Eckler doesn't play.
Another name that I heard pop up with an interesting comp was Khalif Raymond. He's had a decent couple of weeks. I didn't even realize it because I don't pay attention to the Lions. He's sort of played up there. Like him and my boy Amon-Ra are both getting some targets. Khalif's playing a little better at the moment. He's a little older too, so he's got the experience. Jared Goff came out and compared him to Cooper Kupp, I think more in like the security blanket kind of thing. It's Jared Goff. It's the Lions. You said you have some Khalif Raymond. To quote Star Wars, is it a trap? It's a trap.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm all in on Khalif Raymond. I picked him up a few weeks back. I had to start him was the last week. I think I had to start him last week. The options were limited, but yeah, I'm a fan of the guy. I picked him up and he's contributing. He's only 5'8", like 185, a smaller dude. I don't see much comparison to Cooper Kupp other than hey, he can run, he runs some good routes and he's always open. So, I'll throw him underneath. But, I mean, if he's available and he's worth a pickup. Like you said, he's had a couple good games I think it's 3 of the last 4 weeks. He's been pretty solid. So, I'm all aboard the Khalif Raymond train.
Sweet. Okay, JJ Way. The Incredible Hulk is getting ready to put his smile back up as we close out here. Give us some last tidbits of for the week, and let's head on to a wonderful football Sunday, Halloween trick-or-treating.
Yeah, a lot of trick-or-treating there out there this weekend. Be careful. Don't be out too late. I know there's a lot of trunk-or-treaters out there. That's a new thing. I think we'll be doing that on Sunday, so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, be careful. And as always, trust yourself and trust the process.